Hey everyone, welcome to my first podcast. And I've been thinking about doing this podcast thing for quite a while now. And I'm not talking about like, 1 day, 2 day, or 3 days or whatever, right? I've been thinking about doing a podcast for a good 5, 6, 7 years now. I mean, I've been wanting to do some financial stuff, right? Especially some longer videos, maybe up to an hour long uh, videos on finances to not only document what I've learned, to see if I understand it myself, and then I talk about it again. So, anyways, I've been studying economics for a good 12 years now. I'm not talking about being in school, and unfortunately, I think people that studies economic in school don't really know what they're talking about. I mean, I think their understanding of economics is so skewed because it is based upon somebody basically telling you what economics is instead of actually finding out in the real world. So, I don't have a big, how should I say it? I don't admire people that study economics in school, especially in today's school, because I've spoken to a lot of them and they don't really know what the hell they're talking about, unfortunately. Most of the time, they're more confused than me. But one of the things that is different compared to them and me is they're more confident because they have this paper, right? I have the paper too, but it's not the same paper. That's all. It's paper that says you graduated from this university and that university. And I actually had this argument with somebody I knew, right? I think 5 years ago about economics. And what's funny is that at that point in time, right? I mean, it may have felt that I was wrong. I didn't know what I was talking about. But 5 years later, we're in a totally different situation because one of the topics I want to be talking about today is inflation, right? So, I've been talking about what I've learned on inflation for a while now. And these people that were in school, right, kept on saying inflation is a good thing. And I've always been saying inflation is not a good thing. You see, the thing is, now everybody is saying, including the media, is saying inflation is a bad thing, and everybody could feel it, right? But before that, somehow they're telling you inflation is a good thing. Now, like I was saying, 5 years later today, obviously everybody knows inflation is a bad thing. And why is it a bad thing? A bad thing is because it put stress on everybody else, right? I mean, all the citizens, all the people, rising prices is just putting a huge stress on everybody. Now, how I knew this so called new inflation is a bad thing is because I had to understand what inflation really meant. You see, inflation really has two meanings. You either take the old meaning or you take the new meaning, right? The old meaning, right, being there for over 100 years until 2003. And some people that are younger might think, oh, well, 2003 was a long freaking time ago. That was 20 years ago, right? Well, for people that are over 20 years old, obviously they're not going to think that 20 years ago was a long time. It might be a long time, but it might not be that long, right? So, I mean, in the greater scheme of things, I mean, the planet's been around for, I don't know, millions of years, right? And certainly a good 20 years don't mean a lot, right? Let's just say the English language. I don't even know how long the English language has been around, but I'm pretty sure the English language has been around for a good 100 years or so, or even more, right? So, in the greater scheme of things, right, a language that has been around for over 100 years, 20 years is not a lot, right? 20 years is just like a blip, right, in history. So, anyways, for the past 100 years and over, inflation has always meant the expansion of the currency supply, right? Now, in 2003, from what I remember from my research, I don't even think you could find it online anymore because they started removing these documentation somehow, right? So nowadays, inflation means rising consumer prices. And it's very funny because they never talked about the rising prices of houses, right, for the past 10 years, while that was part of inflation too. So, anyways, they never talked about it until now, and it's all over the news. It's all over whatever the. It's like Bitcoin. Think about it this way: when it was rising, when Bitcoin was rising, right? There was like it. They keep on bringing guess after guess. You could do no wrong. This thing is gonna go to $1 million, and now it's a different story, right? As Bitcoin had dropped below 20,000, they're busy sending people on that is negative. It's very funny because it's like they just put whatever on they want. It's not like they actually have a stance, right? So I don't really trust them. But anyways, so going back to what I was saying about inflation really means the expansion of the currency supply, and I can give you an example of that. And why I want to give you an example is because to understand inflation, you must understand what it really means. And an example to this inflation, which means the expansion of the currency supply, is that let's say you're in a family, right? Let's say you're in a family. I don't know what you are. You're either a father, you're the mother, or you're the child, or like let's say you have a brother and a sister, all right, and you're the middle child, and you have let's say a mother and a father. Let's say that. And let's just say that for easy exampling. Um, so your parents are like, all right, so I have 10 donuts in this box, and there's 10 stickers, and these 10 stickers represents each donut you could take out of the box. So basically, your parents are like, all right, I'm gonna give you one sticker, and then for each sticker you get, you only get it from doing a chore in the house, right? So let's say you clean the floors, and your parents are like, all right, I'll give you the sticker, right? And you could go get a donut, all right? So let's say you exchange it, right? So one sticker for one donut. Now there's 9 stickers left in the pile, and there's 9 donuts left, right? So let's say the stickers is the money. So you could exchange it, right? So you have 9 donuts left, and you have 9 stickers left. That makes sense, right? That's very very easy to understand. One donut equals one sticker, or one sticker could change for one donut. So it's very easily understood. Like this is your own economy. So what happens when inflation happens, which is the old definition of inflation, right? Is this. Let's say your brother, your older brother, right? You're the middle child, right? Your older brother's like, I don't want to do no chore, right? Let's say we're going back to this 10 sticker and the 10 donuts in the jar. So your brother's like, I don't want to do no chore. So what he does is he goes print out one sticker, and he prints this out himself, and he makes it exactly like the way your parents made it. So he goes up to your parents, or he goes up to the jar, he puts a sticker down, and he takes one donut, right? So what happens then? You have 9 donuts, but you have 11 stickers, right? That doesn't make sense, right? You have 11 stickers, 10 real ones, and one fake one, but nobody could tell the difference between the real one and the fake one. But you have 9 donuts left, right? That's not fair, right? So, anyways, so how inflation works is like this. Let's say instead of printing one sticker, your brother is like, I'm going to print 10 stickers. All right? So, your brother changes 10 stickers for 10 donuts. Now, the donuts are all gone. But there's a total of 20 tickets. Or 20 stickers, rather. Because there's 10 fake ones and 10 real ones. but nobody could tell the difference between the real sticker and the fake sticker. So, you know, the next time your parents fills up the jar, now you have 20 stickers, and your parents are like, well, I'm gonna guard the jar. So each time uh, you change it, your parents will know. So, anyways, so your parents gives out these 20 stickers, and instead of charging one sticker, they're gonna charge two stickers now. That is inflation, right? I mean, the prices of the donut just went up because it used to be one sticker for one donut. But since there's 20 stickers now, 10 fake ones your brother created and 10 real ones your parents created, but nobody could tell the difference because it's the exact same thing, right? They have to raise the price of the donuts, right? Instead of one sticker, now it's two stickers. So there's 20 stickers, two stickers each, right? So that means 20 stickers will give you 10 donuts. That is inflation, like I was saying. But what they changed the definition to is entirely different. So they changed the definition to this. Well, if your parents just raise the price of the stickers, that is called inflation. But they don't talk about, well, since 10 stickers was printed, right, now there's 10 more. There's a total of 20. There's 10 fake ones. So they never really explain that situation, but they want to blame it. What they want to blame is, oh, your parents raised the price. They're the bad people, right? So that's what they're doing right now. But you see, understanding it that way won't help you save money. It won't help you in any way because you don't understand what's happening because you're collecting these stickers, right? And you don't understand why the prices are rising. Let's say your brother, right, even though the prices are now 20 tickets, 2 tickets for each donut, your brother's like secretly printing these more tickets, right? So, you keep saving these tickets and you're like thinking, I could get one donut with 2 stickers while your brother's just using his Monopoly stickers, I guess, that he created himself and exchanging in the donuts. So, that's what they're not letting you know. And by just thinking that, hey, the prices are raised because the parents wants to raise the price, isn't going to help you save the money, isn't going to help you kind of stay away from being poor and broke, because you need to understand where and why they are raising the prices. So anyways, they are raising the prices because there's way more stickers out there than there used to be. There used to be just 10 stickers, one donut for each stickers, but now there's 40 stickers because your brother's making more stickers out of thin air. And that's what inflation usually meant. Your brother making the expansion of the money, right? Expanding the money supply. So that's what it meant. But now it means your parents raising the prices of the donuts, which really makes no sense because I don't understand. I've never really understand why they redefined a word that was already defined. Because if it's already defined, it already represents something. It's like red represents red, right? Why do you have to make it represent something? Why don't you just make up a new word? That would make more sense, right? Redefining it has never made no sense to me. And the last word that I know that they redefined was the word vaccine, which makes no sense to me because vaccine, right, for over 100 years has always meant immunity, right, to basically make you immune to a disease, right? The word immune means you won't get hurt by it, right? Like, I guess a better example is to talk about a video game. So, if you're playing this game, right, when it says you're immune to fire, it means you cannot be damaged by fire. If you're immune to water, you cannot be damaged by water. Earth, you can't be damaged by earth, and so forth, right? Electricity or lightning, you can't be damaged by electricity or lightning. So that's what immune meant, right? But nowadays, the word vaccine, they changed the definition of vaccine, which, again, I don't understand why they changed it. When they say a vaccine, right, it means to stimulate immunity. So imagine this: you're playing a game, and for most people, right, that are not in the old age, right, not like 60 and over or 50 and over. I think people that are 40 play games, right? I mean, most people that are 40 and under will 100% play game and understand what I'm talking about. Now, if you're 40 and over and you don't understand it, I can't help you. But if you're playing a game and it says to stimulate immunity to fire, can you imagine that? I mean, what does that mean? So that means that you can be damaged by fire, right? But sometimes you're immune to fire. Sometimes you're not immune to fire, right? It's like I'm thinking about Pokemon right now. It's like, Charizard attacks you with a fire ember, right? And you're thinking stimulate immunity to fire. You're sitting around. So am I gonna get hurt by the fire? I don't know, and it doesn't give you a percentage. So how the hell do you know, like, when is it supposed to hit you and when you're supposed to get burned? I mean, Charizard's flame attacks, right? They're fire based, and to stimulate immunity, let's say you drink the potion. Well, the potion says stimulate immunity. Well, maybe 9 out of 10 times you get hurt by fire, and then there's one time you don't get hurt. Who knows, right? It reminds me of those gotcha game stuff, right? Where you do the scouting, you do the box opening and stuff like that. You have a percentage of getting this item. So I don't really like how they changed it because it makes no sense to me. Why don't you just make a new word then, right? You don't need to. You don't need to actually change the definition. You could have just made a new word because the word has already been there for hundreds of years, if not thousands of years. And, there's really no reason to redefine a word. You could just, make up a new word, right? And call it something else. So, anyways, redefining a new word has never made, redefining a word has never really made sense to me. And that's what they did with the word inflation. Now, if you really, really want to understand inflation, you have to use the old definition of inflation to understand it and keep yourself from being poor. Because I'm not even going to say the 1950s, right? Where, some of the comic books, on the comic book covers, it's like you see like it's 5 cents for the comic. But now if you go to the store, it's not 5 cents anymore. It's like $20, even though it says 5 cents. Well, that's because the value of the 5 cents was much higher. And let's just say in the 90s, right? Let's talk about food, right? There's like, I don't know how much a burger was, but let's say, I think where I was, a McDonald's burger, actually a McDonald's meal, was about $5, or even in the 2000s, right? In the late 90s, 2000, McDonald's meal was about $5. And with a $5 bill, and that includes the tax, right? So you had a $5 bill. Yeah, you could buy a burger, and it could be any burger, like Big Mac, and then you could get like a drink, and it would be like a medium drink. So you could get, Coke, Sprite, or whatever, and then you get medium fries, right? And it'll be all included in this meal that is $5. Nowadays, if you go out there, I think the entire meal is like $20 after tax, and that's the only bill that's the bill you need. If you have anything less than that, you won't be able to buy anything, unfortunately. Now, I want to talk about some Asian products, and that is the Vietnamese bread. Now, a lot of people that are Asian has always had the Vietnamese bread. The Vietnamese sandwich, right? Which is like, it has like some ham. It's like the sub, right? I think they call it the sub or the bread or whatever, the sandwich. It's this thing that you could basically buy. That is like a summary. So basically, the bread used to be $1 each. Now it is $6 for the bread, where I am, anyways. So the price of stuff never went back, and that is never good. Imagine you had $1, right, and you saved that dollar until now. Well, you can't even buy a bread. It's the same thing with houses, the same thing about anything. And a lot of people might be thinking, wow, that's like 10 years ago, that's 20 years ago. You see, the problem isn't that that wasn't actually that long. The problem is the the thing hasn't changed at all, right? I mean, the bread hasn't changed. It's still the same bread. The ham hasn't changed. It's still the same thing. It's like the burger hasn't changed. It's still the exact same thing. The only thing that changed is the price. And the only reason people might be thinking, "Oh, that's a long time ago," is because if they're a teenager, right? I mean, once you grow to a certain age, you're gonna be thinking, "Well, time really freezes around 20 something, right?" So for most people only remember their happiest time, which is around their teens, around their 20s. But time goes by so quickly, and you know, even though their wage is going up, but the prices of everything is going up with them. So if you don't understand inflation and you're just saving your money in depreciating currency, obviously you're losing money. Most people that have reached the age of 30, let's say they have 10,000 in their bank, right? They're just gonna most people would just leave the 10,000 there and just as a backup or something, right? And let's say they're 40 or they become 50, they'll probably still have the same 10,000. But that 10,000 will buy a lot less. Right? I mean, obviously there's people that don't even have 10,000. But just saying that if you did have 10,000, you know, you're pretty much losing a lot of money in 10 to 20 years because you can't buy anything. That 10,000 isn't worth as much. And what you need money for is to buy things. You don't collect money just because you want to collect money because the money isn't worth anything. Because, you know, if you couldn't buy a diamond in 20 years, and let's say the diamond used to be around $1,000, but even with new technology, right, a natural diamond, because I've been looking at diamonds these days, it's pretty funny. So, um, a diamond, well, a diamond right now is around 10,000, and I think maybe 20 years ago, maybe it was worth 1,000. I don't know, but then the fake diamonds, which is the lab created diamond, so it's not really fake, but the lab created diamond, let's say 1 carat is around 2,000 right now. I mean, if you hold on to $2,000, right, and you don't buy a diamond, and you're just holding on to that 2,000, well, that diamond's gonna go up in price. And sure, they may have new technology, but it costs money to make the new technology too. It costs electricity. So, to understand inflation, you must understand the value of the currency. And since the value of the currency is constantly going down, it's not really worth anything. Unlike when it was in the 1970s, right? Why in the 1970s or before the 1970s, uh, the currency had a value is because it was tied to gold, right? And gold is a fixed, limited supply of, it's a finite supply of thing that is in this world. And, I think if you take all the amount of gold ever mined, it only fit in like a pool or a football field or one small field or something like that. But gold is a finite supply, and it used to be tied to the U.S. dollar. Well, today, since 1971, it took us off the gold standard, right? Which means that it's no longer tied. So these currencies is losing value each year. And somehow they made people think that this is a good thing because apparently because of the restrictions it caused the Great Depression. But I feel like we're already in a Great Depression. I mean, most of the people that are around 30s don't even have a house. They couldn't, they can't afford a house. I mean, the world is going to get worse and worse. But, since this thing is a new theory, and I don't think this new theory is going to work, it's going to make life even tougher in a different way. Because back then, everything happened all at once, right? I think what happened now is that we're all going to lose money or value in our money, and then we're going to get stressed out more and more because, like I was saying, most people can't even afford a house, right? So that's pretty bad. And we're not talking about people that don't work. I'm talking about people that are working and they're basically slaving themselves away on some job, right? Becoming a slave. And they don't even get enough to buy food. They don't get enough to pay electricity. They don't get enough to own the house themselves. So they're all going to be renting their entire life and waiting for inheritance. So, anyways, to avoid that, you must understand the money you're saving has no value and is losing value. And what is funny is they taught us, or actually the news has taught us, that it is a good thing for the past 10 years or 12 years. They've been teaching that in university. It's a good thing. Inflation is a good thing. Until 2022 or 2021, when it was like basically after the pandemic, right? And then there was this supply chain, people stopped making stuff because they had to shut down due to COVID lockdown. So, anyways, they stopped making stuff and prices started to rise because going back to what I was talking about, right? Let's say the donuts, right? Going back to the donut and the stickers. During the pandemic, the brother made so many stickers, right? And while the parents stopped making the donuts, they used to make 10, right? Well, now they're making 5. So the prices of the donuts is going up through the roof because there's so many of these stickers. And everybody, all of your brother and sister wants a donut, right? But there's only 5 donuts. But the brothers, some of them, the older brother wants more than one donut. And we're not talking about somebody that's like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna eat one donut. Well, let's say he's fat, right? So he has to eat a lot more. So he has to have 5 donuts. So he made all these fake stickers, and now he wants to trade all these donuts. Well, the parents is like, one sticker's not gonna do anymore. We're gonna need 5 stickers or 50 stickers. I don't know. But that's basically what's happening, and that is what inflation is. So after the pandemic, people have been realizing inflation is not a good thing. Not what they've been telling you for the past 12, 15 years, saying it's a great thing. And all those people that went to school during that time, that's a funny thing because I said I got into an argument with some of them. Well, they start realizing inflation is not a good thing either because the prices of things, once they go up, they're not coming back down. Let's say I was talking about the bread, right? Or the sandwich, whatever you want to call it, or the McDonald's meal. It used to be $5, right? It is never going to drop down to $5 again. Never, ever, right? And it's like the Vietnamese bread that I was talking about too. The sandwich, right? That thing used to be $1 for like one sub, right? I used to buy 20 of them, and that was $20. Well, now it's $6. That's never dropping. That's never going back down. But the amount of money in your hand is always going to go down. So, inflation is not a good thing. And you got to understand what inflation is, what you need to buy. I'm not going to tell you what to buy, but I'm saying that, where you should spend your money, right? Because if you don't spend your money wisely, you're going to get wiped out with this inflation thing because you need to realize that some things are needed. Let's say a house, right? The house is always needed. A house costs materials. You need wood or lumber to build a house. You need drywall, you need insulation, you need all these things, right? And they're all going to go up in price too. Some people are expecting the housing price to drop. Yeah, a lot of people I know that have been expecting the housing price to drop. It has dropped, but they still can't get in because the prices of interest rate has raised, right? They're raising interest rate right now. They used to be able to borrow something. Now they need all these check and stuff like that. So they're never going to get a house, which is obviously a bad thing. So there are some stuff you should just buy when you have the ability to buy it. For example, in my opinion, a house is always a good investment. Some people might think otherwise, but hey, at the end of the day, you always have a place to live. Especially if you live in Canada where, it snows, right? It doesn't snow always, but in the winter, it gets cold. You always have a place to shelter yourself from the elements of this world. Shelter yourself from the winds, the sun, the cold, the snow, the rain, and whatnot, right? And that's always good. So those are some of the stuff that you should figure out, because if you don't figure it out, obviously you're going to be in a situation where you're just going to be complaining, oh, there's not enough of this and not a, well, that's always going to happen. I mean, it has happened for thousands of years, and those that don't understand what's happening, well, if they're lucky, right, they would be able to inherit off their parents some of those assets. But if they're not lucky, right, I mean, I've never had anything from my parents, and they were actually bad people to begin with. So if you don't have good parents that could like give you stuff, then obviously uh, you're gonna have to really study economics and understand investments, and not let things just go out of control for your life, because the prices of things are always going to rise, and rising is not a good thing, right? I mean, it is just gets way too expensive. Even going out now, I mean, if you go out to eat, let's just say the meal itself is around $20, and you have to add like tax on top of that, and then on top of that, if you're into it, right, you'd give tip, right? So that'd be right, like what, $40? So a meal that used to be around $10 to $15 is now $40. Obviously, that is not a good thing, and anybody can go broke just like facing a daily challenge like that. So understanding inflation, what to buy, some stuff it will never change. You could buy a spoon for 10 years. You could be using the same spoon, and the prices of a spoon might go up, and the quality might go down, but you still have that spoon you could use. Like, there's some stuff I will always buy, there's some stuff I would just never buy, and there's really no point in buying it unless you need it. I mean, if you need it, then obviously you have to buy it. And understanding inflation is very important to understand that rising prices is not the cause of inflation. Inflation is caused by the expansion of the money supply. Like I was saying about the jar of donuts, or I mean the box of donuts and the stickers, right? I mean, if your brother's just making a lot of stickers, then obviously those stickers is going to lose value. And everybody knows that. Unfortunately, most of the media don't know that, which is interesting, because it was really, really easy for me to understand, but somehow it's exceptionally hard for supposedly the intelligent to understand. But anyway, so that is what inflation is, and you really got to be careful and figure out what you need to do. I think in the upcoming years, inflation is going to get worse, and you'll notice that because I was just going over a new article about property tax in my area, and they're thinking the tax is going to double. I'm like sitting there, are you serious? Like, it is incredible, because we're not talking about like a 1% increase. We're talking about a doubling, which is like, wow. It reminds me of a lot of things that's going on today. And I try not to keep my money in cash a lot. I mean, I do have quite a bit of cash, but, I try to put mine in stocks or other investments to make sure that it's just not depreciating. And obviously, you have to know what you're doing as well, because a lot of these stocks and stuff has gone down, especially Bitcoin. I mean, everybody was thinking it's going to go to the moon, and it went in the opposite direction. Maybe it will still go to the moon, but I don't know. But, you got to figure out what you want to invest in and what you want to buy, because investment should only be placed. I mean, you should only put money into investment if that is extra money. If you have like if you don't have any extra money, you shouldn't invest at all, because what happens is, what if something happens, right? You need that money to pay your bills or something like that. So you should always put some money aside. But yeah, so that's what inflation is. Hopefully you guys learned something. I mean, I've been struggling trying to uh, let people know what I've learned, and I guess this is the first video. And if there's any changes, I'll definitely make another video. But yeah, that is what inflation is, and it's something you should definitely look into after watching this video, because Understanding inflation will definitely help you more.